A rather alarming stat was revealed last night after Newcastle's draw with Tottenham, in that we've dropped 11 points so far this season from winning positions. Can you imagine that? 11 points, where we would be in the Premier League this season had we held on to it. Does it come down to mentality? Does it come down to the manager? Well, the manager was asked about it, so we'll take a look at what he had to say. And Captain Bruno has also had his thoughts on conceding so late in the game last night. Let's dive in. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Toon Review. My name's Paul. This is your latest Newcastle United news, and we will start off with this dramatic statistic of how many points Newcastle United have actually dropped this season from winning positions. It is a bit staggering given it's 11 points and where we would actually be in the Premier League table had we not dropped those points. 11. Just think about that. Why is this happening? Why does this keep happening to Newcastle United? Now, last night, granted, it was very late on that we dropped the points again. However, normally it's been a blistering start for Newcastle United. We scored within the first 10 minutes of a game, and then we've dropped back into a shell, allowed the opposition to come onto us, and they punished us. Because when Newcastle sit back like that, we are very vulnerable to conceding goals. No matter how good the defenders are, as a team, we don't do well sitting back and allowing teams to come onto us. It's been proved time and time again this season. Now, why does it keep happening? Like I said in the intro, is it the manager? Is it his decisions during the game? You know, last night, bringing Fabian Schär on, taking Miley off. Yes, he went 5 at the back, but did he really have to do that? Because we were very comfortable at the time. You know, Miley was playing very well. I don't see... It's confusing a little bit, but look, I've seen other managers do that in the past, brought on an extra defender just to see out the game. But we are not very good at doing that. We're never very good at seeing out the game and just soaking up pressure. We don't do it that way. Newcastle United's best form of defence, for me, is undoubtedly attack. We are a lot more dangerous when we attack teams and don't sit back and soak up pressure. Now, Eddie Howe was asked about this, so I'm going to read out what Eddie had to say. Make of this what you will, guys. He says, it's a real strange one. Sometimes these things go in cycles and happen, and you can't quite work them out. A bit like our away form, this is another one. We've historically been very good at seeing games out, navigating tough situations, managing the game. We've got to try and refine that quickly because it's costing us important points. Now, there is evidence that the manager is clearly aware of what's going on. And whether this is discussed in training or in the dressing room, who the hell knows? But something clearly has to be done. And Eddie said there, we've got to find out a way. Because it wasn't that long ago, folks, that we would go 1-0 up and we'd be quite comfortable seeing the game out. But lately that hasn't happened, especially this season. We can't see games out. We're conceding very, very silly goals, as we saw last night. Perfect indication of how we do that was there for all to see last night. Very, very sloppy. Instead of seeing the game out. He went on to say, I think you can look back at each moment and identify a mistake or a part of the team not doing its job. So the job for us is to obviously coach the team to be better in those situations, and that's what we'll endeavour to do. We're in December. We're in December now. And finally, the manager has identified that there is a serious problem there. But how do you coach that? That's the question. How do you coach these players to defend better in these circumstances? Because really, like I said before, Newcastle always seem to defend better when we're on the front foot and we attack teams. But for some reason, we're not going for that second killer goal or the third killer goal to see the game out. You know, Everton on Saturday, we did that for once this season. We really did that. We went and killed off the game in the first half, 3 goals, absolutely superb. But we're not consistent. And that's blatantly obvious for everybody who is a fan of Newcastle United. We're not consistent. And we need to be if we're to try and get anywhere near a European place this season. Because right now, as I sit here and do this video, I think that's a long way away. I think we're going to struggle. But the signs there that the improvement is there. The 2 Premier League wins recently, yes, definite signs of improvement. But then all of a sudden we take another step back. I mean, look, it wasn't a bad performance yesterday. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, we were rubbish, because we weren't. But we were poor in the final third. We weren't able to convert opportunities like we did on Saturday when everything went in the back of the net. You know, there was clearly problems there. You know, Valdemar, for me, he's a fantastic footballer, but he is not an out-and-out striker like a Wissa would be. So we're desperate to get him back in the side. Jacob Murphy, he's really hit and miss right now. He's really hit and miss. He put a one good ball in last night, I think, and the rest of the time he was terrible. So he dropped Elanga when Elanga had it was his best game since signing, didn't he? So I don't understand. Yes, there's rotation involved, but there's a couple of players that yesterday played all the games Saturday, played again last night. These guys are fit as fiddles. So too many changes, and if a couple of players are off form, then they will suffer. The team suffers. But I don't know if it's an individual thing, like Eddie says there. You know, obvious mistakes. I think it's a team thing. I don't generally think it's just one player makes a mistake and we concede a goal. It's a team mentality, because the team, if you look at the whole team, they sit back when we've scored. Now, that's not one individual error. That's not a player error. That is a team error. And that comes from the manager. So, yes, they've all got to work on it, but they need to find out what is going on here, why we can't just keep going like the way we do in the first 10 minutes. It's baffling. We're completely on top of games, and we could go and get 2 or 3 goals the way we're playing, but we don't. We give the ball back to the opposition and say, right, we've scored. Let's see if you can score one past us. And inevitably, they do. Eddie went on to say, but sometimes it becomes psychological or about the fear of conceding. And then you do concede. There is so much that goes into it, but we have to find ways when we are in front to be better. Now, I get the fear of conceding, right? All teams do that. You know, you score a goal and then it's very important. How many times do you hear people say, right, we've scored, let's keep it tight for 5-10 minutes. That always happens. But with Newcastle United, we always do concede. And it's costing us big style this season, massively. And finally, he said, usually the best form of defence is attack. I encourage us to do that all the time. But sometimes you have to accept that you're not in that position in the game to do it, and you have to see it out and defend better. Today was one of those moments, but we didn't do it. Now, when he says there, the best form of defence is attack. That's what we've been renowned for. And I completely agree with that. So why isn't that being implemented on the pitch? Because if the manager's telling players to do it and they're not, then there is a communication problem there, or the players simply aren't listening to the manager. So either way, that has to be sorted out. Because if Eddie's telling them to stay on the front foot, but the team as a whole are dropping back, there's a major problem there. They're not listening to the manager's not getting his word across, and this is why this kind of thing keeps happening. Now, he went on to discuss Romero's second goal, of course, which was the equaliser. He says, we didn't get a good contact on the first ball, didn't clear the danger, and allowed Romero to an overhead kick in the box, which from that distance shouldn't go in. We're looking for someone to block it, but that didn't happen, and it's almost gone in slow motion. Now, I did say that in the reaction last night. When he hit the overhead kick, I thought, bloody hell, it's sort of just rolling towards goal, and I was thinking in my own mind, somebody clear the bloody ball, somebody put the foot through it. You know, you've got Dan Burn and Chow standing right in front of Ramsdale, blocking his view of it. So one of you put a foot through it, just clear it. But they let it roll past, and of course Ramsdale sees it late. It wasn't the best punch by Ramsdale in the world, and it was just a huge problem in that penalty area, the scrambling around and the panic. He said, conceding the 2 goals in the manner we did is really frustrating. We pride ourselves on being better than that. I don't think we were particularly good on set plays in either box. A far cry from the set-piece dominance we enjoyed in the win over Everton. So question for you, Eddie. Why did you put Toon Army back on set pieces instead of leaving it with Miley, who, as you've just said there, had brilliant success and dominance with his set pieces on Saturday? Yet Toon Army comes in and straight away, first corner he takes, can't clear the first man. But he still takes a couple more before eventually Miley moves on to the corners. Free kicks. It was Toon Army. Now, Tonali wasn't at his best yesterday. I'm not sure whether he's injured or what. We'll have to wait and see. But he wasn't at his pinnacle best. He wasn't bad, but he did give the ball away a few times and obviously taken off at half-time. But when he says things like that, you're thinking, well, why isn't he putting a message across? Or why isn't he saying, Miley, you in the starting lineup again, son, your set pieces were fantastic against Everton. Stay on them. You are our set-piece taker, whether it be corners or free kicks into the box. Maybe not just outside the box for shots and stuff like that, but, normal corners and other free kicks. Why not just leave it at that? It was working a treat against Everton, but he changed it. It's a bizarre situation. So let me know what you think of Eddie's comments. Is it down to the manager that we're conceding all these silly goals and dropping points? Or is it the team mentality or individual mentalities? Let me know in the comments. I'm very intrigued as to what you think about what's going on right now. Now, Captain Bruno also came out after the game and had a few words to say about dropping points. He wasn't very happy at all. Of course, Bruno came on as substitute yesterday, and for me, gave us a little... Well, second half when he came on, we were much better going forward. He was driving us forward. And I said this on the reaction video last night, that I think Miley plays a lot better alongside Bruno than he does Tonali. They seem to have a better understanding. Now, obviously, that's something that can be worked on in training between Miley and Tonali. I just think he's a lot more settled when Bruno's alongside him. But speaking after the game, he was absolutely furious. And did, how Bruno's got a touch of the dramatic in him. But listen, he is very passionate about the football club and very passionate about dropping points. And he says, we missed another win, conceding at the end of the game. Again, for me, is everything about mentality. You have to defend in our box much better. You have to defend like your lives depend on it, including myself. You cannot score a bicycle kick so free. The ball was bouncing in our box and no one took it away, so I'm very unhappy tonight. The feeling in the changing room is like we lost someone in our family. Everyone is unhappy. Like I said, it's about mentality and we have to defend better. So he's sort of comparing it to losing somebody. I mean, Jesus. Obviously, he's got a touch of the dramatic about him as Bruno, but that's what we love about him. And he's very, very unhappy, and rightly so. As captain, you seeing your team defending like that and conceding a very, very poor goal. And to be fair, I mean, even the first goal, Romero's header, he gets across Burn far too easily for me. It's a brilliant header. I'm not taking anything away from Romero because that was a tremendous header. But again, the defending is very sloppy. We kind of switch off. And it's becoming an annoying thing, dropping points, defending so badly. Bruno talks about mentality there. So who is responsible for the mentality of the team? Is that the captain and the leadership group, the rest of the players? Is it the manager, the coaches? Because if the mentality is not right, and that's why we're dropping points, we need that to change ASAP. Because we've got some very big games coming up and we can't afford to have questions about the mentality of some of the players. We can't. We just can't have any questions about it. We need to be right on our game from the word go, and that starts with Burnley on Saturday. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of Eddie's comments, what you think of Bruno's comments. Where do you stand on the 11 points drop this season? Were you aware of that? Because the league table could have looked a lot different than it does now, put it that way. So let me know in the comments below. But thank you very much for watching the video. If you have enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up as per usual, folks. And of course, if you're new and you like what you see, come and join this fantastic community that we're building here on the Toon Review by hitting the subscribe button. It is free. All we ask for is that you hit the notification bell so you never miss any uploads or live shows on the channel. And don't forget to check out our website, thetoonreview.com, for all your channel merchandise. Coming up to Christmas, some fantastic stuff on there to buy for yourself or loved ones in the build-up, as I say, to Christmas. And if you're on Facebook, don't forget to check the Facebook group out. Just search the Toon Review on Facebook, fill in a couple of questions, and myself or one of the mods will accept you into the group. But that's it for now. We will see you very soon, guys. Take care.